said earlier, we will begin by looking at the structure of African traditional religion. Like I said in my introductory aspect, I told us that every organism has parts and systems within which they operate. For the purpose of this study, we will look at this study holistically based on its structure. Every organism has parts, system or structure through which it is known and identified. By structure, we are simply referring to the basic elements, those basic components that make up this very religion. This structure constitutes the basic belief systems and practices that are associated with African indigenous religion. A lot of scholars over the years have written volumes, they have written books, they have come up with ideas, speculations as regards the structure of African traditional religion. Prominent among such scholars is a renowned African writer and scholar by name Imoh, who in his book African Traditional Religion, a definition edited in 1973, posted 5 structured classifications of African traditional religion. And these 5 structured classifications are designed in a triangular shape, which gives much credence to this study as the name implies. They include the belief in divinities, the belief in the supreme being, the belief in divinities, the belief in ancestors, belief in spirits, and then the practice of magic and medicine. These 5 major belief systems will holistically give us an overview of what this course is all about. We will begin by looking at each of these belief systems and the way they make sense to them based on what they make of it. We will look at the belief in the supreme being. If you look at the way the universe is formed, if you look at the uniformity of the universe, look at African worldview for instance, you will understand that with the way things are made, take a look at, let's say, the vegetation. If you go to the forest, you will see how the forest is uniformly made. You see the trees, you see the animals, you see the ocean, you see living things of different kinds and non-living things. You see amphibious animals, terrestrial animals, aquatic animals, and even the mammals, the humans. Each of these groups, each of them derive their powers, they derive their source, they derive their existence from, one central being who stays at the apex and waves out his powers to some of these other lesser beings. Ordinarily, if you ask a layman who has never been to the 4 walls of any tertiary institution, you ask the man, taking a look at the way things are made, what do you think, or who do you think is responsible? The man will tell you that there is a being who is greater than all other beings, because the man himself knows that he derives his source, he derives his powers from that particular being. For instance, without the rains, the earth will not be watered, and if the earth is not watered, there will be no food crops for man to eat. What we do is to use the available rainwater which has already come from the sky to water the earth to do our normal cultivation. And by getting involved in cultivation, man finds what to eat. But the way and manner the plants grow, the way and manner they yield their fruits, and the way and manner these fruits get matured and then get to the point of being eaten is what man can't explain. And if you ask the man, he will tell you that there is somebody at the apex who is there taking care of all of these before he can now be able to tap or harness from that which has already been produced. And the man will tell you that being is no other person than the supreme being. The supreme being is at the apex. People call him God. Africans call him the supreme being. In Islamic religion, they call him Allah. The Igbos call him, he has so many names. People call him so many names based on what their religions portray. He is known as Olodumare. The Yorubas call him Olodumare. The Igbo call him Chiogige. The Igbos call him Chineke or Chukwu, the big God or the source God. Inyame, some people call him Inyame, Oyapambon, and all of that. So, every African knows that for him to live, for him to breathe, for him to enjoy the free gifts of nature, that these gifts of nature are coming from somewhere. And who is the source of these gifts? It is who? The supreme being. Now, when they now see the happiness around them, some of them will say, oh, because this has happened and that has happened, they will now begin to reverence him by naming their children after the supreme being. For instance, the names we bear are symbolic, and these names are derived from the circumstances that led to your own birth. Every name is symbolic, and Africans cannot give their children names without coming in contact with the very circumstance that led to the birth of that child. For instance, if a woman is finding it difficult to give birth, during their morning extemple prayers, they could go to the shrine or the family ancestral altar and call on this supreme being. Please, I need a male child, I need a female child who will grow and become the heir apparent to my family. And then the moment that child comes in, let's say if a baby boy comes in, they will name that child Mwachuku, meaning the child of Chuku, the big God. They will name that child, some will name that child Mwaba. What is Aba? Aba simply means that being. Aba is the name given to the supreme being in Igbo language, Mwaba, because the Bible says that God is spirit. And who was worshiping must worship him in truth and the spirit. So Abba simply means spirit. And if the spirit being is spirit, it means Abba means the child of the supreme being. So this very belief system has given Africans, the clue on how their sources have come and how they've been able to coexist with this very supreme being. And Africans are of the view that this supreme being is found at the apex, where he automatically assumes powers all over other beings. Bolaji Idowu calls this very aspect of religion diffused monotheism. What is diffused? Something that has been dissected. It has been slashed into pieces, diffused. In biology, they will tell you this has happened and that has happened from a central membrane to a smaller central membrane and all that. So in Africa, it believes them it is diffused because he stays at the apex and gives powers to all other beings he has created so that they can exist. Because of people's strong belief in him, they attribute all kinds of names to him. Among the Igbos, his names and attributes include Chineke, the God that creates. They call him Obasidinelu, the most high God, or the God who lives above the sky. They call him Chukwu Obioma, the God of mercy, and all of that. Among the Yoruba, he is known as Olodumare, Olorun, Eleda, and so on and so forth. Among the Ijo, we have the Tano, Temeyaru. Among the Edo people, they call him Osanobua. Among the Yoruba people, he is called Ogene. The Igbo know him as Chi Okike, the God who creates, or to Hobi, that who has the final say, and so on and so forth. So the belief in God is as old as every African society. Then we have the belief in divinities. Awolalu and Lubanu describe the divinities as gods with smaller letter G, or with small letter G. To Africans, the belief in divinities is very prominent in Africa because they see these divinities as smaller gods with portfolios. And they see them as gods who were created by the Supreme Being to help him in the governance of the universe. Such as, for the Igbos, we have Allah, or Ali, the earth goddess. The earth goddess is in charge of fertility of the soil. Without Ali, or Allah, there will be no food. Without Ali and the Allah, there will be no fertility. Nobody will build a house. If the rain falls, the rain will find nothing to water. The rain will find nothing will grow and all that. So, Igbos and Ikore people in particular, they give credence to Allah because Allah is sacred. It's a sacred. Allah is a sacred concept that there is just so much. We have Allah, the earth goddess, in charge of fertility of the soil. For the Yorubas, we have Ogun, the god of iron and thunder. For the Igbos, we have Amadion, the god of thunder and lightning, and so on and so forth. So these divinities, like I said earlier, they derive their powers. One may ask, how do they exist? Or who's in charge of divinities? These are, using the government setting as a case study. Say in Nigeria, for instance, the president of this country has ministers. We have minister for labor and productivity. We have minister for transportation, minister for education, minister for agriculture, minister for finance, minister for this and that. All these ministers are there with, they work with the president because the president cannot do the work alone. When there is Federal Executive Council meeting, who are the members? It is these ministers, the special assistants on social media, on intercultural festivities, on diaspora and all of that. They come together and bring their ideas together with that of the presidency and they move the country forward. So these divinities, like I said, are like ministers with portfolio. Each of them has their functions. We have those who are in charge of fertility. We have those who are in charge of security. We have those who are in charge of even the sky. Those who are in charge of other smaller beings. We have those who are in charge of the rivers. They take charge of the fish in the river, the animals in the forest and all of that. And that is why in some riverine areas, you don't just see a river and then you jump in. And for you to cross such rivers, you must realize yourself with the people who own the river, and they will tell you one of the sacrifices you make to the goddess of the river. And that goddess of the river serves as the minister who is in charge of that river. In some areas, we have what they call the Mami water. The Mami water is in charge of the oceans. You don't just jump in and swim. Even when the rivers are troubled, they can even take the lives of human beings. If a man jumps in, sometimes you hear one canoe has capsized in somewhere, there is this and there is that, all in the river. 5 days, 6 days, there's nobody sound. After 7 days, you see bodies floating without a cup of water found in them. The question is, how did they die without even drinking water? And someone will tell you, it is the goddess of the river that has caused that mission because they have not been able, or they were not able to give to the goddess what the goddess deserves. So if you go to a place where you don't know, you must ask questions and walk in line with such people. So the point I'm trying to make here is that these divinities are given powers, and their powers, they utilize these powers within and around the areas they operate. We have the earth goddess, like I said earlier. The Igore, we have the Oumin, the water goddess. For the Yorubas, we have Onisanla, the creator act divinity who is deputy to Olodumare. Just as we have the governor and the deputy governor, the president and the vice president, we have the deputy to Olodumare. Then we also have the Owu Anapo for the Calabari region of Eastern Niger Delta, and then we have the Olokun for the Yoruba, and so on and so forth. These are some of the land divinities that are within the regions we find ourselves, and these divinities they will add their powers based on what their portfolio portrays. Then thirdly, we have the belief in spirits. One may ask, who is the spirit? This is another fundamental belief system in African religion. The spirits are in Africa. The spirits in African religion are ubiquitous. They are found everywhere, but you can't see them. Some of them are found in caves. Some live in rivers. Some are in the forest. Some can be even be found even in schools. They can be found in churches, graveyards, cemeteries, anywhere life exists. The spirits can be found there. But one thing about the spirits is that the spirits are not visible; they are invisible. They possess powers that may be supernatural because they are not visible in the process of their actions. They can wield their powers without being seen or detected. They can be found in rivers, trees, rocks, caves, even in humans. We have the ghost spirits, according to the who are spirits of the dead ones, those who died bad deaths and were not given befitting burials. Probably in some areas where they throw dead bodies inside the Imoh forest, they go there, and then you see them, they hover, looking for people they will attack. Such spirits can be found in areas that are deserted, and if they're not properly buried, they wander about in the streets, forest, and all of that. Then that brings us to the types of spirits. Basically, we have two types of spirits. We have the malevolent spirits, and then we have the benevolent spirits. The malevolent spirits are those spirits that will add their powers in an oppressive and wicked manner. They can attack you at any time. They can cause mayhem on the road. They can cause accidents. They can cause both mishaps in the river, like I said earlier. They can even kill you in the forest. Sometimes when you walk along lonely paths, you feel this awe-inspiring spirits. You feel as if something is happening to you. Oh, maybe there is this, this fear. Oh, what have I seen? Or what is happening? If fear is not taking you, begin to fidget, and then fear enters into you. It is because you have come in contact with a malevolent spirit. Then we have the benevolent spirits. They are responsible for good fortunes. They bring good omens, e.g. the guidance spirits, your chi, your personal guidance spirits. At times you do something that is bad and the spirit will tell you, my brother, you have done something wrong. And you come out and confess without anybody seeing you. Who has made it? Your personal guidance spirit, which is known as the chi. Then we have the belief in ancestors. Who are the ancestors? Basically, the ancestors in every community are the living dead ones, living dead members of the family. Africans believe that the disease has a part to play in the family for better or for worse. According to Beauty, they are the departed ones who still stand very close to their members. In times of trouble and misfortunes. Although they are physically dead, but spiritually they are alive. They are alive and continue to be remembered by their members through the names they give to their children, such as Nana. For the Igbos who have Nana. Nana means my father's father. Ndamzi. For the Great Bull, Ndamzi means my father has come back, my father is alive. Through such names, they give to children. We have Ndamzi for the Great, and so on. They are the ones who died good death, given befitting burials with children, and also died at the good old age. In some families, you see, when the man dies, even where the man is buried, they keep chairs, they keep tables. In the morning, they go there, they call on him, they keep colas, they keep drinks and all that. They believe that the spirit of the dead man will come and still commune with them. Some in their houses, they keep their doors open at night because they believe that the man has only departed physically, because really the man is still living with them, where gives adequate protection to some members of the family. And the ancestors, everybody cannot be an ancestor. The ancestors are those aged members of the family who died what we call a good death, were given befitting burial, and even as they were going with happiness. A boy of 10, 15 years who was killed by a gunshot, or who died by drowning in the river, or who committed suicide cannot be called an ancestor, because that person cannot be given a fitting burial. Such bodies are thrown into the evil forest, where they come back as spirits, as ghosts, and begin to torment human beings. We have such cases of one jet. They want to die, they come to the tomorrow, they die. In some families, you see a man and a woman, in fact, they make them childless. Meanwhile, the woman has given birth up to 10 and above, but no single child. The reason is because the same child keeps coming and going. The spirit of born to rule is until that spirit is warded off. No other person will come into the family. Then we have the belief, we have the practice of magic and medicine. Like I said earlier, if you look at the way the world is made, you see that there are natural calamities that befall man almost on a daily basis. Sometimes you see thunder strike, a man will be walking and he slumps and dies. Sometimes people will use all these spirits to attack you. They will use malevolent spirits to go against you. Some persons will even use your maybe your footprints, use your fingernails, or whatever it is that comes from your body, to prepare concoctions and charms against you, and you know. So for you to detect and be free from this, you must get involved in what we call the practice of magic and medicine. Africans use magic and medicine to fight against misfortunes that are coming, either to attack them, to kill them, or to do them all manner of harm. And so with this magic and medicine, the man is free and can move freely because he is endowed with the basic African knowledge of the herbs we have, and with the help of medicine men, he prepares the medicine or concoction or whatever name you call it, with which he moves around. Some tie it on the walking stick, some put them in their bags, some put hang them on their neck, some even wear them as charms and amulets, and some even use it to even tell the future. They will even tell you, even when you have a bad idea about it, they will tell you, please, that which you want to do, please don't do it, because if you do it, I will strike, and when I strike, it will be disastrous. He has been able to do all this because of what? The practice of magic and medicine. So for this purpose, I think we will stop here. Thank you.